Spreading all around my room, my world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the World of Juice channel, and welcome back to another episode of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers franchise here on Madden 25. We are in the offseason, unfortunately. This episode really should be another playoff episode, but that is not the way that our NFC divisional round matchup ended against the Chicago Bears. We ended up playing just some of the worst football I've ever seen in my entire life, along with a couple of screwy things that happened during the game, but we're not going to talk about that. We end up losing to the Bears in the divisional round, and we go home. They actually went on to play in the Super Bowl. I think they lost the Super Bowl, but they went on to play in it. And we just have to sit at home and watch and think about what we did and didn't do and the screwy stuff that happened and all that kind of stuff. So today is the off season of year number 2. We have 2 first round picks this year. They're not great first round picks, but they're still first round picks. We have the one from the Rachaad White trade from Cleveland, and we got to make some big things happen here. We get Mike Evans back from injury, but obviously we're not playing any games, so it doesn't matter. We need to take a serious look at this team and make sure that we know the direction we're going in for year number 3. Are we going to stay with Baker at quarterback? Are we going to trade anybody that's expensive this offseason? I don't know. What's the direction? What's the future of this team look like? We're going to find out, at least initially, what that is in today's episode. So if you're going to enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club, and let's go see how this offseason unfolds for the Buccaneers. First order of business this offseason to take a look at the season recap, just in case I didn't do it last episode. And the Colts do get the championship, so Anthony Richardson has a title now. That's kind of fun. EJ Speed is the Super Bowl MVP, though. Mahomes takes home MVP of the league. Puka Nacua and Micah Parsons are the players of the year. And then Ben O'Neill, wide receiver for the Cowboys, and Brandon Stackhouse, defensive tackle for the Texans, get the rookies of the year. So no Buccaneer awards. Not surprising by any means. I do want to just take a look at this team, take an overview of what we have, and see just kind of the direction we're going in. Barry Woodley actually has X Factor. That changes a lot of stuff. Because remember, we made a trade for him I think he was also in that Rachaad White trade. We got him in the first round pick for Rachaad White, along with maybe another pick. I can't remember exactly, but he came from Cleveland. He was their draft pick after year 1. And he has X Factor at running back with 92 speed, 92 excel, and he's also like a pretty beefy running back. He's 6 foot 220. So he's got a little bit of speed, he's got a little bit of pop, and he's got an X Factor at 78 overall. That could be the future at the running back position, because he's probably going to skyrocket in overall over Bucky Irving, who's only an 82. They're very close in overall. Mike Evans returns from injury. He is starting to heavily regress, though. He's an 82 overall right now at 33 years old. I hate to say it, but maybe we need to send Mike Evans to another team. Nah, I can't. That feels illegal to trade Mike Evans from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I feel like we'll just have to ride with him until he regresses fully. But that does mean that Marvin Harrison Jr. becomes that number 1 option at wide receiver, and Evans will fall to number 2. I would certainly not sniff at a tight end, that's for sure. At least a backup, if anything, because our tight ends get injured all the time. And then I did throw away injuries, didn't I? I turned them off. We have a lot of superstars on this defense. Holy crap. So we've improved this defense heavily over the past year or two, bringing in guys like Mike Hall Jr. and Trayvon Walker and Byron Murphy II, although I didn't really notice much improvement or impact from Byron Murphy since we brought him in, but maybe he can do something next year. I don't know. Levante David is starting to regress again. A lot of our older guys are starting to regress, which we're going to have to keep an eye on. We're going to have to make a decision. Do we replace them or do we ride it out with them? I don't know. And then obviously the main question is who is going to be our quarterback next year? Will it be Baker? Will it be a draft pick this year? Will it be a trade quarterback? Who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next year? I don't know if it's going to be Baker. We've had 2 years of Baker Mayfield, and we've had good success. We played in a Super Bowl last year. We didn't win it, but we did play in a Super Bowl. And then obviously, uh, we made the playoffs again, made it to the divisional round, and lost this year. So we've had playoff success with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, but that's probably more so due to the team around him. I was gonna spend my staff points, but I already spent it on all of the stuff I need over here on the trade tree, so I can trade if I need to. And I don't really think I need to spend any more stuff. I might as well just keep it. There is a storyline that we might talk or we might go into. I don't know if I should. Media available. Let's go into it. Let's go into it. What do we got? Who's the media telling me about today? So we're into the off season. Hey everybody, what an opening. Let's talk about the next few months. I'm gladly talk about the next few months. Make a splash and upgrade the roster. Make sure we win the draft. There's no specific plan. There's no specific plan. I'm not really even sure what I want to do. What do you mean no plan at all? Why does that go so quick? We're happy with our talent. I haven't thought about it yet. Is it a bad look if I haven't thought about it? I don't have a plan. I don't have an idea. I've been too. Oh, that's not what I meant to say. I've been too busy. Okay, so we didn't get any negative or positive impact about that conference. That's okay. Oh, but Levante David's angry. We don't have a plan in the offseason. I didn't mean that I didn't have a plan. I meant that I haven't really figured out what that plan was. It's different. It's different, okay? Chris Olave says he's not coming back. Well, that's interesting. That's really interesting. We will accept the option on Kalijah Cansey, his fifth-year option. We knew this day was going to come where we had to pay a lot of these free agent guys that we brought in this past year. But with only 6.4 million, I don't know who we can pay. Because we're going to bring back Kalijah, obviously. We already accepted his option. Alec Pierce, we need to have another wide receiver on this roster. Maybe I can send Alec Pierce to the Saints to get Chris Olave. Chris Olave said he's not coming back. He's not happy with the Saints organization, apparently. So what about if but he's got 1 year on his deal. He needs a new contract. That's why he doesn't want to come back. I don't know if we can pay that. Can we afford to pay Chris Olave's contract? I don't know. I don't know if we can afford to pay Chris Olave's contract. Because he's going to want a big time extension, right? Hmm. This is interesting. I don't know if we're going to be able to pay Chris Olave's contract. Hmm. Tricky business. Tricky business. I need to go to the team salaries here. Can I take a look at every other team's Okay, I can. So let me go to the Saints team salary. Let me find Chris Olave here. Yeah, so we would have to, if we were going to trade for Chris Olave right now, we'd have to pay him this offseason. And I don't think we can because he's going to want a big time extension and we only have like $6 million. So unless we were to restructure somebody like a Tristan Wirfs or trade Baker's contract, even though we would suffer a $5 million penalty, or restructure a guy like Mike Evans, who we just re-signed recently, last offseason, we'd have to work around it. But I think there could be a world where we trade for Chris Olave. I just don't know if this is the world, if that's the world that we live in right now. Man, I am confused. Vita Vea is going to be up for a new contract next year. We're going to have to free up money to pay him. Jamel Dean, Levante David. We might just let Levante walk. Trayvon Walker's going to need a new contract. Yeah, we're going to have to pay a lot of guys next year. Some pretty important players. I guess if I restructure Vita or Tristan Wirfs, that frees up slightly enough money to maybe make it work. And maybe we restructure Mike Evans. Oops. So if we do those two contracts that we restructured, that frees up about 16 million. That's still really not what Chris Olave is looking for, I don't think. This is tricky. This is tricky. We could just bring back Alec Pierce now that we've restructured those two contracts. We could just simply bring back Alec Pierce. But if I can get Chris Olave, that would be obviously more ideal. How do I want to make this work? Do I want to just risk? Do I want to just risk the fact that we can't pay him? I might have to risk the fact that we can't pay him. I want to bring in. I think I want to bring in Chris Olave. He doesn't want to be in New Orleans anymore. We could give them Alec Pierce, who they have a chance to either re-sign or not, and then I'd probably also have to give them a draft pick. All we have is two firsts and a second really in next this year. We don't have a first or a second next year because that's part of the Marvin Harrison trade, I think. We don't have a lot of draft picks really, if I'm being honest. Don't have a lot of draft picks. I guess I could try to give them another player to maybe make them feel a little bit better. Maybe this is where we give up. Maybe this is where we give up Braswell. Because Tryon Shoyinka goes up to superstar, so he's probably staying around. And we have Christian Aldridge, who's around the same age already as Braswell. Maybe this is where we give up Braswell, even though I don't really want to. It could be where we do that. But I might be able to get Braswell in another trade. Maybe we send Braswell away to another team who needs because they don't need a right outside. They need a left outside linebacker. I guess Braswell could probably play that, but I don't really have the picks to give away to the Saints, unfortunately. I guess I could toss in a 4 or 3 or something. Both players are unhappy with the team. They need a new contract. Both players need new contracts. It's basically just a swapping of contracts. Like you're swapping people who need an extension. One guy's going to be cheaper than the other in Pierce's case. So we'd have to give them back a little bit more enticing stuff. They need a quarterback. Obviously, we need a quarterback too. I guess I could give them Zach Wilson, but that's not going to do anything for them. They needed a left end. We have Kalijah Kancey that we just extended. We also have Greg Gaines, but they don't need a D tackle, do they? I would be willing to give them Greg Gaines. He's got another year on his contract. We give them Greg Gaines, Alec Pierce, a 4th-round pick, and they get back, or we get back Chris Olave, who needs a new contract. How about I toss in a 6th in 2028 as well, and we send that to the Saints, and they say yes. So we get back Chris Olave, they get back a couple of people, and Chris Olave next year is going to need a new contract. I thought it was going to be this year, but I guess. Oh, it must have. Okay, I know what I had a problem with. The yearly cycle, the contract years went over another year, so his contract was 0. But I thought it meant this year. It actually meant next year. I got confused. I'm all good now. I know what we have to do next year with signing Chris Olave, and he'd like to be back a little bit. His interest is fairly high. Luke Godke, we probably have to send away in another trade, probably for another offensive lineman. I would probably prefer. I don't know who is going to be available for us. Probably another guy in a similar spot to Lave, or he's on a lower deal, or maybe I guess a younger guy. The value for Godke's not going to be really there unless the team absolutely desperately needs a right tackle. But we have DeJuan Jones. It's not like we absolutely have to trade for a right tackle. It could be Evan Neal, actually. Evan Neal, he got passed up already by Brian Judge. They already drafted a guy better than Evan Neal. Maybe we go for Evan Neal. We send Godke the Giants to be a backup to or a veteran to. But they can't do it because their salary's bad. They need $5 million of cleared space. So I guess we'd have to take on a salary dump of like Marcus Davenport or something. That still doesn't even get it done. What kind of salary dump would we have to take? Maybe Kayvon Thibodeau and his bad contract? That still doesn't get it done. How much money do they need to take? What about Davenport now? That's, oh my God. I guess I got to go for somebody that's super expensive then. Who's somebody that's really expensive that they don't want anymore? Andrew Phillips has superstar dev. Is there anybody here that's way too expensive that they're not going to want anymore? Except for Daniel Jones, I'm not taking that contract. And Kirk Cousins, I'm not taking that contract either. That's why they're negative because they have two quarterbacks that are way too expensive. Singletary, Darius Slayton is a little bit expensive, but these guys aren't paid yet, so they're not that expensive. Well, I can't take Malik Neighbors yet. There's nobody on this team that is expensive that I would I guess Jermaine Illuminor. That still doesn't even get it. Okay, forget it. Forget it. I'm done with the Giants. I'm done with the Giants. Evan Neal, I thought would be a fun story because he's kind of not really developed and he got passed up on in this series, but they drafted another guy to replace him. So I thought that could be pretty fun. But the Giants do not have the money that I'm willing to work with. So we're going to move on to another team. And it could end up being the Steelers with Broderick Jones. That might not be a bad one. But again, we do have DeJuan Jones already a right tackle. And he's got a dev trade. He's 70 or what? He's at 80 overall at 25 years old. So if we trade Godke for a backup right tackle, but mainly we trade him for just another player, I don't even know what I can get for Godke. Maybe like a fourth round pick or something for a team that desperately needs a right tackle. Terrence Steele. I mean, the Dolphins desperately need a right tackle. 77 overall, Austin Jackson. How about you give me? Let's see. I was hoping there'd be a team that had a right tackle that I could trade for. Because I would like to have a backup for what's his face for DeJuan Jones. How about you give me? Let's see, who needs a backup? Okay, the Raiders have a lot of depth at the tight or the tackle position. DJ Glaze is a crazy name. How about you give me Thayer Munford and then like a fourth round pick, and you can have Godke or Goki. How about we do that? All right, trade offer accepted. So we get a backup for Luke. We also probably need to send away Rasheed Walker. We did just sign these guys in free agency, to be fair. What can I get back? The Bears have three left tackles that are young. They just drafted Juan Glass this past year, but they already have Braxton Jones. What's their right tackle position? They have Darnell Wright, so there's no way that Juan Glass can play. But there's also no way that Rasheed Walker can play. It just seems like a no-win situation. There's a lot of teams that do need a left tackle. Who's my starting? Is Rasheed Walker my starting left tackle this year? No, it's Tristan Wirfs. I don't know what I'm thinking. So we're just trading for a backup. We're just trading for a backup left tackle, preferably somebody that has a few years of control with this contract. We don't have to worry about. Jordan Mailata and Alex Cherry. There's really no way that Alex Cherry plays with Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson, although Lane Johnson could retire, so I guess that's not true. Alex Cherry could play still. They just move him over to the right side. So he's probably out the question. Jordan Morgan and Zach Tom. Maybe Jordan Morgan's our backup, but they need a right tackle, and Jordan Morgan could just slide over to right tackle. This is a little bit trickier than I thought. Jedrick Wills is here in New England. Carl Patterson, Colton Miller, and then they have Godke and Jace McDonald. Or McDougald. There's no way that this Carl Patterson guy plays. So this Raiders, we just send all of our tackles to the Raiders, I guess. It just makes the most sense. They need a backup right tackle. Their rookie has no chance of playing. We could use a rookie left tackle, and they could give me back a fourth round pick this year, and maybe actually, you know what? Give me a third round pick because Rasheed Walker's a little bit more valuable. He's 26, so I'll take that. We send that to the Raiders. Kate Otten is up for a new contract. Thayer Munford will need to resign next year. Zion McCullum, I'd like to bring back. I do like Zion a little bit, so we'll pay him a little bit of money. 3 years, he's going to come back. So we get Zion McCullum back. Logan Hall, I don't know what I want to do with. I don't know. We need to bring back Jake Camarda as well, so we'll just pay him like 7 years. See if he accepts that. He's going to come back. Okay, so we don't have to worry about punter anymore. Kate Otten, I can't. We can't bring him back. We just simply cannot. It's not. It's not possible. He's wanting way too much money. He wants way, way too much money. Who can we get back at tight end? There's got to be somebody. There's got to be somebody that can start at tight end for us. David Njoku's in Green Bay. I forgot about that. One of these Packer tight ends, maybe they would want to come over here to Tampa, Luke Musgrave or Tucker Kraft, because they just lost their starting job to David Njoku, who's got 4 years of control. Or maybe we go Michael Mayer because he's behind Brock Bowers and he's never really going to get anything going. Or Darnell Washington. There's a few tight ends. There's a few tight ends here that I am intrigued by. I kind of like the Michael Mayer one the most. We're not going to be able to get Brock Bowers, obviously. At least not for Kate Otten. I realize I'm doing a lot of deals with the Raiders, but they just happen to have a lot of guys that I want. But that's not the guaranteed one that I'm going to do. I kind of like this Packer idea with Luke Musgrave or Tucker Kraft. Remember, our tight end is an important position because I do check down to the tight end a lot. Like I go underneath to the tight end a lot. That's why Kate Otten got a lot of yards. I kind of like the idea of one of these two Packer tight ends. They're both 25. They both have 1 year left on their rookie deals. I kind of like the Luke Musgrave option. So if we send Kate Otten to Green Bay, oh, we can't because they have negative $4 million. So Green Bay is out of the question. I didn't think about that. Darn it, that sucks. I kind of like that idea. What about the Steelers? Steelers have positive money. Darnell Washington could be an option. Do I want Darnell Washington to be my guy? Do I want him to be my guy? 6'7". He's a good player, obviously. Out of Georgia, he's got 84 speed, 79 catching. Is Michael Mayer the better option, or is it Darnell Washington? Obviously, Mayer has the star dev. He's got better catching. He's a little bit better of an athlete. I kind of like the Michael Mayer option now. And he's going to be a starter here. He wouldn't be a starter in Vegas. I kind of think that's a little bit better. And maybe we could just do a swap for this, or maybe I have to give up something else. A draft pick. I have accumulated a few extra draft picks now, at least a 3 and a 4. What about if I give them a 6 and a 7? Because I'm not willing to give up any more than that. And we get Michael Mayer back for Kate Otten, who we're going to have to pay. Logan Hall is probably the final guy that we need to figure out what to do with. We obviously can't pay him. Oh, he got a face scan. That's pretty cool. I feel like he hasn't had a face scan. Logan Hall's been here since the beginning, but he's gotten passed up on by a few other players. There's probably a room for him to stay, but not with the little bit of money that we have. So he's probably going to have to get sent somewhere else. I mean, he could play right away in Miami, but does Miami have something that I would want back? Not on the defensive line. They have Chop, but I don't think they'd be willing to give up Chop. I guess it depends on how desperate are they. how desperate are they for a defensive end? What's their draft pick? They pick a number 3. They could draft a defensive end. That's very possible. Their cornerback room looks really weird. Are they that willing to trade Chop for a defensive end like Logan Hall? Or would they just be willing to draft one? I don't know. These are the questions I'm concerned with. If we trade Logan Hall for Chop Robinson, this we'd probably have to give up a third or maybe even a second for Chop Robinson. And Chop's better than any linebacker we're going to draft in the draft this year. So I'd be willing to give up a second, I guess, for Chop. Logan Hall in a second for Chop Robinson. I'm okay with that. Boom. Chop Robinson, welcome aboard, big dog. Now we got to find a spot for him to play. So that's probably all we're going to be doing in terms of trading. Our big trade was obviously Chris Olave coming over. But if we go to the generate the best lineup, Olave becomes the number 1 receiver with Marvin Harrison and Mike Evans. Michael Mayer fits in at tight end, and then we've got Chop Robinson, Trayvon Walker. So what we're gonna do is we're going to make a move here. We're probably gonna move. I feel like we need to take Trayvon Walker off of the outside linebacker spot and then just have Chop there. So Trayvon, is he a pass rusher though? He's got 82 power with 73 finesse moves. He's up to 80 block shed. He's getting better in terms of pass rush. What about if I just sit him down on the D line? What happens if I do that? What happens if I do that? He becomes an 84 with an 85 overall. That works out for me. So we just have Trayvon sit down on the defensive line. Then Chop gets a chance to play. And Chop's pass rushing is probably a little bit better than Trayvon's, right? His finesse moves are a lot better. His block shed's not that good, but he should be able to pass rush more consistently, I would think, than Trayvon Walker. So we'll see how that works. And I'm probably going to have Chris Olave in the slot. Probably not Mike Evans. We probably need Olave in the slot. So if we go over here to slot receiver, it probably needs to be Olave as the slot guy. And then Mike Evans falls down, but then he's still the number 1 receiver. I mean, it doesn't really matter who the number 1 receiver is because we're going to be playing all the games. So doesn't really matter in that case. Okay, that's probably all that we're going to be doing for movement this year in terms of trading, unless I trade my draft picks, I guess. We're probably not going to be able to make any moves in free agency because we have like, what, $3 million? We have $2.6 million. Available free agents, Purdy, Martin Emerson Jr. I'd love to have a guy like Martin Emerson Jr., that's for sure, but there's no ability to sign any of these guys. So, ooh, Jordan Davis is available, and he really wants to be here. I mean, I guess I could maybe try to pay Jordan Davis. How is anybody going after him? 2 teams are going after him. He wants a lot of money. I can't pay that. I'd love to get Jordan Davis as a backup, but can't pay that. I think I'm just going to let these free agents sign with whoever they sign, and we will go to the draft. We will go to the draft. I feel like we got better. We're still looking for that one singular position, and that is quarterback. And I did see that Brock Purdy just signed with the Rams. That's kind of crazy. Brock Purdy is in LA now. Private workouts. Do we need a quarterback? I don't know. We've already scouted some quarterbacks, haven't we? Or is that a different thing? We scouted one, Jonathan Crawford, and he's not that good. There's only 2 quarterbacks that look draftable, unfortunately. And Tyrell Binns, I don't even think he's that draftable. He's got good strength. If I'm going to take a quarterback, it's going to have to be a quarterback that can move a little bit because I like to roll around in the pocket. So we're going to have to do that. Wide receiver, the one wide receiver that I scouted was a day 3 guy. Of course he was. Let me look at physicals. What type of elite speed wide receivers do we have in this draft? We have 3 elite speed wide receivers. One is Kendrick Panfile. And then we've got Keenan McBride and Randall Turbin. I don't know. I might toss a scout on him because he's a round 2 to 3 guy. So there could be a possibility where we have him. Tight end, we could always use a backup tight end, even though we have Michael Mayer now. We were always in position to get a tight end, really. Offensive line could be something that we go after because, I mean, we always need depth in the offensive line. There are a couple of guys down here in the D line that could be a draftable piece, especially down here. There's a round 1 to 2 guy way down here, Jamal Hutchins. So that could be something. I don't know. As far as linebackers go, I don't think there's a position we're going to be in for that. Corner, are we going to be in position for a corner? Maybe. We could always use a corner. 4.3 speed at corner is pretty good for Terrence Walden. That makes me a little bit happy. And then safety, I might use this on somebody else. Maybe on another tight end. There's only a 1 elite speed tight end, and it's this guy, Kevin Boone, but he's going to go in the first round. There's a couple of great speed guys. This guy looks pretty good. Tony Hutchins, but that's because we scouted him. Duh. I don't know if the tight ends are going to be that good, unfortunately. Good speed. Tight end might not be the way to go. I think I might toss a little bit onto a left tackle, probably. Because left tackle is always a need. So maybe if we go like Devin Murray or something, those would be my 3 guys that we scout. We pick at 19 and 27, I think, is the 2 picks that we have. So I just don't think quarterback is good this year. It doesn't look that good this year. Mock draft number 5 has Jason Alexander going 1 to the Falcons, Tyrell Binns going 2 to the Cardinals. So they would be moving on from Kyler Murray? Well, that's intriguing. Hold on. Is there a world where we can trade for Kyler Murray? He probably is too expensive, though, for our cap room. Cardinals, quarterbacks. They still have Kyler Murray. He's got 3 years left, but he's got $55 million on the cap. Yeah, that is unfortunately not a contract we can take on unless they pay most of it, which is not how Madden works. He's 29. Good throw power. His accuracies are pretty decent. His awareness is bad, but his speed is really good. Kyler would be a pretty good quarterback for us, but he's just got such a big cap hit. The only way that we can make this work is if the Cardinals pay the money, which is not, like I said, it's not how Madden works. Unless I go in to edit his contract and change it to be acceptable to trade. So if we go to the Cardinals, we go to Kyler Murray, because they're already clearly moving on from Kyler. They're projected to take a quarterback. So if I go to him and change his contract, so it's 190.99 right now with a signing bonus of 80.6. His total salary is 190. He probably has like 40 million left on his deal. How do I want to change this to where the Cardinals are paying most of his contract? Let's take his total salary and move it. It was 199. Oh, crap, I forget what it was. Was it 190 point 90? I think it's what it was. We'll move it down to. We'll take his money down. Oops, that's not what I want to do. We'll take his money down like crazy, just so that we can trade for him. And then we'll move his contract back up to a reasonable amount when we get the trade done. So we take his salary or his signing bonus down. This is a hefty contract that we got to move down here. If we move his contract down to something that we can trade for, then we move it back up, then we can simulate the Cardinals paying that money and us paying that money. We wouldn't have to pay that much money because we're taking on the contract, or we're taking on the player that they want to get rid of. So they're basically in the position that they need to eat the money. So they're willing. It's kind of like the Russell Wilson deal when the Steelers or when the Seahawks, not the Seahawks, the Broncos the Broncos are paying Russell Wilson's contract, but the Steelers are paying him like $1 million or something, or they were this past season. So that's basically kind of what I'm thinking for Kyler. The Broncos wanted to get rid of Russell Wilson and move on to Bo Nix, so they're paying to get rid of him. The Cardinals want to move on from Kyler Murray, so they're paying to get rid of him. So what we're going to do here is, like I'm doing right now, drop his money all the way down to make it a easy trade. Then we move it back up to like $1 million or something. And then the Cardinals pay the rest of that money. Is kind of what I'm thinking. I know that's not going to how it's going to not going to play like that in the game, but that's in our head canon what's happening. It's ridiculous that they are paying this much money for Kyler Murray and there's no flexibility for a player in the game to be able to do this. So this is what we're going to be doing. So we'll drop his money all the way down so that he's a tradable asset. And they're not going to be wanting anything back because they have no leverage. We have the leverage. So we're going to be trading like a sixth round pick or something for Kyler. Nothing to get him because they have no leverage. Why would they get anything decent in return? They're already moving on from him. They made that clear with the second overall pick projection to be Tyrell Binns. So they have no leverage. All they have to accept is what we give them. So if we drop this down a whole heck of a lot, his salary cap will fall tremendously. There we go. There we go. Okay, perfect. So if I make his salary, we got to at least have him have a contract. If we make his salary 1.25 and he has no signing bonus, obviously, then that'll be an easy tradable contract. We can pay that, and the Cardinals will be on the hook to pay that. His actual contract was like 190 million or whatever. But we get Kyler Murray, they get back a sixth round pick, and I'm okay with that deal. So Kyler Murray, that frees up a lot of money for them though. In theory, not really though. Then we give them back. I don't have a sixth round pick, so you get back a fifth round pick. You have no leverage. So boom, we trade that. Kyler Murray comes over here, and we now have a quarterback at least. We now have a quarterback. Generate the lineup, and they want Kyler to be behind Baker. I don't think so. Once that bad morale goes away, then it'll be better. But the Cardinals will move on and take Binns. They'll have to pay Kyler Murray. And then where are we projected to take? So Alex Shelby actually is a top 5 defensive end. That's interesting. There's a top 5 corner in the class. We pick at 19. They want us to take a right tackle. And then they want us to take a D tackle at 27. I think we're going to stay at 19 and 27 and then take whoever's available. That's probably the way to go. So start drafting. Number 1 overall pick. Atlanta Falcons take Jason Alexander, so the mock draft didn't lie. And then Arizona moves on from Kyler Murray and they take Tyrell Binns. Next user pick. Oh, I forgot. I'm controlling everybody. So let's keep moving on. Mike Rivers, Alex Shelby, Denton goes, Peter Denton, then Henry Claiborne, then Donatello Poe. What a name. Donatello Poe. Dakota Charles goes. So only one quarterback has been taken off this board, but that's not surprising because this quarterback class was pretty shockingly bad. If that defensive end could fall to me at 19, that'd be pretty awesome, but I think he just got taken to Brian Sutton. Was that him? Was that his name? No, Jeffers. Marquise Jeffers is who I was looking at, I think. I don't think he's going to make it, though. No, he goes with the next pick to the Browns. Jesus Ruiz or Jesus Ruiz, David Hanna, Jimmy Harrison, and then Deontay Peterson. And now we are up at 19. Where do we go at 19? Where do we go? Kendrick Pamphile still available. A lot of right tackles available. We know that Rashad Bruce is a round 1 to 2 guy. Jamal Hutchins is a round 1 to 2 guy, and Pat Westerman is a round 1 true guy. So it's probably going to be one of these three. We took a corner last year, round 1. That was Lance Fisher, and he ended up having a great season. Rashad Bruce could be that next in line, or it could be Pat Westerman, I guess. Round 1, he's 6'1". He's got solid speed. He looks like an okay athlete. He looks actually fairly good. He's probably my leading candidate right now to be taken. Jamal Hutchins, elite acceleration. He's got C block shed, B power moves, A pursuit. He doesn't look amazing. I kind of like the Westerman guy. We might take Pat Westerman here with our round 1 pick. Welcome aboard, Pat Westerman. You enter a long line of corners. He has normal dev, unfortunately, but he's got 90 speed and 92 excel. He looks like a solid player, and if he plays well during the season, he could certainly go up to star very easily. Hutchins goes next pick to the Commanders. Who's going to go next? Do I take the risk of Pamphile in the first round? I feel like that's a bad idea. We are up next with our 27th overall pick. There's a tight end available. There's a right tackle available. Do I go right tackle or do I go back up tight end? We've got Kevin Boone. He was one of the guys we were looking at. He had the elite speed. Kevin Boone looks like a great player. I don't know if I could pass up on Kevin Boone. He's number 61 in true value. He's got normal dev. Why am I drafting normal dev guys? But luckily, he doesn't have to be a starter. He can just be a backup. And now we have to skip through the entire second round because we don't have a pick because we traded that for somebody. Was that for Chris Olave? I can't remember. But we've come away with a corner and a tight end, which I'm okay with. Now we probably need to come away with somebody else. Not quite sure who. And this is where the scouting kind of falls apart here. Here's Turbin. He's still available. He's a 5'10 playmaker with elite speed and elite acceleration. He didn't go to the combine. He looks like a horrible receiver, but he's very fast. I took a speed guy last draft, I think, and he didn't have a great overall. He did not have a great overall. So maybe we stay away from a guy like that again. But the offensive line is not really there unless I take Johnny Gills, who looks like a pretty solid center. I might take Johnny Gills here. He could be a solid center. He's number 31. He's got a hidden dev. Another offensive lineman to add to the class, or to add to the team. We'll get to the next round, and I cannot see what's going on because this game sucks. Okay, they're showing me the board now. This is going to be the final pick that we actually do in the video. We're going to simulate the rest of the rounds. Because actually, I think I only have a 7th round pick, right? Or something like that. We'll keep on trading. I guess if that wide receiver is still there, I'll take him. But I don't think he's going to be. I think somebody will take a shot on him. Yeah, he's not here anymore. There could be another wide receiver that we go after. I guess we could take a free safety, but it's not like a big need. There's a right end. Is there any other guys that we have scouted that could be sneaky good? There's this guy right down here, Ian Kinney, who's a round 2 to 3 projection or 2 true projection. That might be my guy because I don't see anybody else that I really want. Unless there's a free quarterback available. Lewis Cunningham, 6'1" field general. If I'm going to draft somebody, it's going to have to be somebody with speed. Gonna have 6'3", marginal speed, not great accuracies. The physicals. Who's got the best speed available? There's 2 quarterbacks with good speed. This guy's got elite acceleration. Cade McClellan, 6'3" scrambler. I might come back and take him if he's available. Let's go get that Kinney, dude. Ian Kinney. He's around 2 to 3 true projection or true talent guy. We'll take him in the 4th round here. He's number 71 in true value. He's got a hidden dev. Another valuable piece on the D line. And you know what? Since I was looking at that quarterback, we'll go and take a quarterback in the 7th round. Although we got to simulate a lot. I'm gonna simulate a lot of picks here. I'm okay with the draft that we've had so far. I think we had a really decent draft considering how low in the draft we were taking or we were picking. Mainly, a lot of our moves happened pre-draft with the trades and stuff, and getting the realization that Kyler Murray was on the outs in Arizona was probably the biggest move that we've had so far, because that very well could be our quarterback for the next 2 years until we can either pay Kyler Murray a new contract or move on from him to a younger quarterback because he's already going to be 30. But at least he's got a little bit more upside than Baker does. He's a little bit more athletic than Baker. He's a little bit more accurate than Baker. And he's got a dev trait, which Baker does not have. So there's a little bit of more promise with Baker Mayfield or with Kyler Murray than Baker Mayfield. The quarterbacks available, Cade McClellan is the only guy left, and he had the elite acceleration, so I'll take him. He's going to be very bad. I'm not going to be surprised. But 85 speed, 90 acceleration is not bad for a quarterback when I'm usering a quarterback. I like to run around a little bit, so that's going to be our draft. The year 2 draft has come to an end. I realize I've taken a corner in both first rounds of the drafts last year, obviously. Pat Westerman ends up being a 76 overall, 73 for Kevin Boone, 74 for Johnny Gills. That's a big sneaky pickup right there. And he's from Ohio State. That's a huge W. And then Ian Kinney ends up being a 72. So huge W's in the first 4 rounds. And then obviously we knew McClellan was going to be bad, but we took him solely on his athleticism. The rest of the NFL best player in the class was Alex Shelby, who went number 4 overall. He ends up being an 80, then a couple of 78s, a 77, and a bunch of 76s and 75s. So kind of a mediocre draft. It is what it is. I feel like we came away with a W of an offseason. Bringing in another wide receiver weapon for whoever our quarterback ends up being. Probably Kyler Murray. Generate the best lineup. They want Baker to start over Kyler, but we're going to have Kyler start. We've got a solid enough offensive line. I want Zach Zinter starting over Kendrick Green. We've got Michael Mayer addition. We've got Chris Olave addition. We've got defensively some new additions here with Kenny, and we've got Westerman in the corner. The team is looking good for year number 3. I'm excited about it. Very excited about it. Plus, we've got the revelation that Barry Woodley is an X factor, which is kind of crazy. So next year, we go into the year number 3 regular season with a lot of promise and a lot of hope. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. If you are, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, enjoy the Juice Cup. Thank you so much for stopping by and watch. I truly appreciate it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.